Chapter 11. The comparison between the Honmon and Shakumon teachings. Quote, the essential teaching of the Lotus Sutra is superior to the theoretical teaching, unquote. Honjaku Sotai, the fourth level of the five-fold comparison. The Lotus Sutra opens the way to enlightenment for all people. It is composed of 28 chapters. The first 14 chapters, from the, quote, introduction, unquote, Jo chapter to the 14th, quote, peaceful practices, unquote, on Rugyo chapter, are called the theoretical teaching, Shakumon. The second 14 chapters, from the 15th, quote, emerging from the earth, unquote, Yu Jutsu chapter to the 28th, quote, Bodhisattva universally worthy Fugen chapter, are called the essential teaching, Honmon. The former taught that Shakyamuni was born in India and there attained Buddhahood for the first time. That teaching does not discard his theoretical or provisional identity. In the latter half, Shakyamuni discarded the theoretical and revealed the truth, that he was the Buddha enlightened in the age of 500 myriad dust particle kalpas ago, Go-Yaku Jin Tengu. Thus, the theoretical teaching is the teaching of the, quote, veiled, unquote, Buddha, the Buddha whose true identity is concealed, and the essential teaching is the Buddha revealing his true identity and the span of his enlightenment. The comparison between the essential Honmon and the theoretical Shakumon clarifies the relative merit between the doctrines taught by the Buddha, whose true identity was concealed, and the doctrines taught by the Buddha, whose true identity is revealed. It is the comparison between the essential teaching and the theoretical teaching as they exist in all of Shakyamuni's teachings. The theoretical teaching, Shakumon. The Daishonin stated in the, quote, opening of the eyes, unquote, as follows. The Hoben, expedient means, second chapter, in the theoretical teaching, expounds the doctrine that 3,000 factors of the law of the universe are contained within a single moment of mind, and the doctrine of the enlightenment of the people in the two vehicles. Thus, one of the two flaws that existed in the previous sutras has been rectified. But in the theoretical teaching, because the Buddha does not reveal his true position, the true doctrine that the 3,000 factors of the law of the universe are endowed within a single moment of mind has yet to be revealed. Even though it opens the way for people in the two vehicles to attain Buddhahood, the doctrine is not complete. Gosho, page 536. The major part of 8 chapters in the theoretical teaching expounds upon the true entity of all phenomena discussed in the Hoben second chapter. The theoretical teaching continues with the 3 types of preaching in the, quote, parable, unquote, Hiyu third chapter and the, quote, belief and understanding, unquote, Shinge fourth chapter. The 3 types of preaching are preached by the law itself, preaching by metaphor, and preaching by relation. Thus, the teaching in the previous sutras that denied the people in the two worlds of learning and realization the possibility of attaining Buddhahood was changed. These people received the prophecy and they would, indeed, be able to attain enlightenment. The theoretical teaching corrected one of the 2 flaws in the previous sutras. The doctrine that people of the 2 vehicles, learning and realization, are eternally unable to attain Buddhahood. However, there's still one flaw. This flaw is the doctrine that Shakyamuni attained enlightenment for the first time during his lifetime in India 3,000 years ago. The theoretical teaching lacks the fundamental proof of actual Ichinen Sanzen, the true doctrine that 3,000 factors of the law of the universe are contained within a single moment of existence. In other words, the law taught in the theoretical teaching is not eternal, and the truth is not fixed. The theory of Ichinen Sanzen is revealed by the enlightenment of the people of the 2 vehicles, and their enlightenment is the core basis for revelation of Ichinen Sanzen in the theoretical teaching. However, the Ichinen Sanzen and the enlightenment of the people in two vehicles contained in the theoretical teaching has two flaws. Ichinen Sanzen, as expounded, is based upon the true entity of all phenomena. It was taught in theory, but not in substance, because the essential nature of the Buddha who perceived it is not revealed. This is the true Buddha from the limitless past who attained enlightenment by himself. In quote, the opening of the eyes, unquote, we read, the true nature of Ichinen Sanzen had yet to be revealed. Gosho, page 536. This tells us that the concept lacked substance and existed in name only. In the theoretical teaching, the people in the worlds of learning and realization, two vehicles, are told they will attain Buddhahood in the future with the predicted times, lands, and names they would bear when they became Buddhas. However, the original mystic law, Myoho, sown at the remotest past, is without defined origin. Moreover, the people of the two vehicles in the theoretical teaching believed that Shakyamuni was born in India, practiced, and attained Buddhahood for the first time in his current lifetime. Their attachment to this view was the illusion of thought, shiwaku. Furthermore, they did not know the original cause and original effect that existed in the remotest past. This is an incorrect view and constitutes the illusion of desire, kenmaku. Because of these illusions, it would not be possible for them to overcome the fundamental illusion, the illusion of fundamental darkness, mumyo-waku. Therefore, the prophecy that they will attain Buddhahood in the future is also without substance. Summing up, the teachings of the enlightenment of the people in the two vehicles and the doctrine of Ichinen Sanzen, as contained in the theoretical teaching, have two flaws. The identity, or even the existence, of the Buddha who attained enlightenment by himself in the remotest past had not been revealed. So what was revealed was only partial and incomplete. These teachings existed in name only, lacking substance in the real world. The essential teaching. The difference between the essential teaching and the theoretical teaching exists in light of the Buddha's discarding his provisional identity and revealing his true identity. This is clearly stated in the, quote, opening of the eyes, unquote. When the time to preach the essential teaching comes, Shakyamuni reveals that he attained Buddhahood 500 myriad dust particle kalpas ago. He then denied that he attained enlightenment for the first time in this lifetime, even though he had stated this earlier in the theoretical teaching of the Lotus Sutra, as well as in the Flower Garland Kegon Sutra. Having revealed this truth, all the Buddha bodies gained by the effect and reward of the practice of the four teachings of the Tripitaka, the connecting, the specific, and the perfect, which had been expounded by the provisional Buddha, were rendered invalid. Since the effect of attaining enlightenment through the provisional teachings was denied, the causes or practices contained in the four teachings were also rendered invalid and demolished. After having demolished the causes and effects of the 10 worlds of the previous sutras and the theoretical teaching, Shakyamuni at last taught the cause and effect of the essential teaching. This is the doctrine of true cause and true effect, showing the true cause and effect through which Shakyamuni became a Buddha. In this teaching, the 9 worlds, such as hell and hunger, came into the eternal possession of the Buddha world, and the Buddha world came into possession of the eternal 9 worlds. Thus, the true mutual possession of the 10 worlds, the true 100 worlds and 1,000 factors came into being, and true Ichinen Sanzen was established. Gosho, page 536. With the revelation of his attainment of enlightenment in the remote past, the 4 teachings of the Tripitaka, the connecting, the specific, and the perfect taught in previous sutras, and in the theoretical teaching of the Lotus Sutra, were all completely refuted. These teachings were fully unified and incorporated into the essential teaching of the Lotus Sutra. When Shakyamuni revealed his true identity in the Juryo lifespan 16th chapter, the eternal 10 worlds of the essential teaching were revealed. This is the doctrine of true cause and the true effect. There are, however, 2 additional revelations contained in this doctrine. One is the surface teaching, Monjo, while the other is the teaching hidden in the depths, Montei. On the surface, the true cause and true effect concentrates upon Shakyamuni as he emerged in India. It is explained how Shakyamuni practiced the true cause and how he attained enlightenment, the true effect. Moreover, where he has lived, the true land, since his attainment of enlightenment, was also revealed. These are called the 3 mystic principles, Sanmyo Goron, expounded in the Juryo chapter. They are the true cause, Honmyo, and the true effect, Hongamyo, and true land, Honkokudo-myo. First, the mystic principle of the true cause is explained in the Juryo chapter in this way. Once I also practiced the austerities of a bodhisattva. The life that I acquired then has not yet been exhausted. It will last even twice as much longer. Kaiketsu, page 433. With regard to the above, the Daishonin explained in the quote, opening of the eyes, unquote, that the eternal signifies an infinite lifespan. The quote, infinite, unquote, herein is in terms of 500 myriad dust particle kalpas ago, iko yaku jin tengo, or time nearly without beginning. Second, the mystic principle of the true effect is expounded as follows. Since I attained Buddhahood, an unimaginably long period of time has passed, being eternal and not extinguished. Kaiketsu, page 433. With regard to the above, the Daishonin taught in the quote, opening of the eyes, unquote, that when the eternal true cause and true effect were revealed, the Buddhas, such as Mahavanichama and Amida, as expounded in the various other sutras, were all revealed as unified. It was clarified that these various Buddhas were all emanations of a single Buddha, Shakyamuni. However, the above mentioned phrases in the Lotus Sutra concerning the mystic principles of true cause and true effect were taught by provisional Buddhas, Shakyamuni, who emerged in India. This is the ultimate teaching of the mystic law of the remotest past as it appears in the surface meaning, Monjo. At the same time, the people attending the ceremony in the air, listening to the teaching of the eternal effect of Buddhahood, and listening to the teaching of the eternal cause of Buddhahood, awakened to the eternality of Buddhahood within themselves. The cause of Buddhahood is the same both in the attendant Buddhas and in the assembled people. Thus, realizing that the eternal 9 worlds are contained in the eternal Buddha world, the assembled people became enlightened to the fact that they were the same as the true Buddha of the remotest past. Furthermore, in light of the Daishonin's Buddhism, they at once returned to the status of first hearing the name and character of the true cause at the very beginning of the remotest past, and they immediately awaken themselves as the entities of the Lotus Buddha, Totai Renge Butsu. They awakened to the original sowing at the very beginning of the remotest past. The assembled people attained the mystic realization that cause and effect existed in a single moment of mind, Inga Ichinen. Therefore, the ultimate teaching of Shakyamuni is the Juryo chapter, and the immediate enlightenment of the people in Shakyamuni's time occurred in the revelation contained in the Juryo chapter of the essential teaching. Third, the passage revealing the mystic principle of the true land includes, I have always remained here in the Saha world, preaching the law and leading people to enlightenment, Kaiketsu, page 431. In the sutras, the Saha world is reviled as a defiled place, but in the Lotus Sutra, it became the eternal land where the Buddha had always dwelled. This revelation is the completion of true Ichinen Sanzen. At the same time, it established that insentient beings, trees, plants, the general physical environment, could also attain Buddhahood. The Daishonin judged the difference between the essential teaching and the theoretical teaching in, quote, the true object of worship, unquote, as follows. The differences between the two doctrines are as great as the differences between the heaven and the earth. Gosho, page 655. The meaning hidden in the depths. The difference between the essential teaching and the theoretical teaching of the surface meaning of the Lotus Sutra is the latter's concentration upon the provisional Shakyamuni, who emerged in India. However, from the viewpoint of the Daishonin's Buddhism, all of Shakyamuni's teachings are theoretical. Therefore, the comparison between the essential teaching and the theoretical teaching of the surface reading of the Lotus Sutra is within the dimension of the theoretical. The above quote from the, quote, opening of the eyes, unquote, concentrated upon Shakyamuni. The discussion of the mutual possession of the 10 worlds, the 100 worlds, 1,000 factors, and Ichinen Sanzen was to discard the theoretical and reveal the true teaching of a Buddha whose true identity has not been revealed. This is the essential and the theoretical discussed in a theoretical dimension. It is called the surface meaning, Monjo. Particularly important is what is contained in the meaning hidden in the depths of the Lotus Sutra, Hokekyo no Montei, or the revelation of the truth that existed at the very beginning of the remotest past, Kuanganjo no Kempan. This is explicitly revealed in the Gosho, quote, the entity of the mystic law, Totagai Sho, as follows. The ultimate principle, that is, the mystic law, originally had no name. At the time, the sage was observing this ultimate principle and assigning names to all things. He perceived this wonderful single law, which is Myoho, that simultaneously possesses both cause and effect, which is Renge. He named it Myoho Renge. This single law, that is Myoho Renge, possesses within itself all the phenomena that comprise the 10 worlds and the 3,000 realms. It lacks none of them. Those who practice this law will simultaneously obtain both the cause and the effect of Buddhahood. The sage practiced with this law as his teacher and attained enlightenment. He therefore simultaneously obtained both the mystic cause and the mystic effect of Buddhahood, becoming the thus come one of perfect enlightenment and fully realized virtues. Gosho, page 695. The meaning hidden in the depths lies in the very beginning of the remotest past of Kuon-ganjo. The true ultimate law exists there. The Daishonen's Buddhism reveals that cause and effect exist in a single moment of mind, Inga Ichinen. A single moment of mind also equals the 3,000 factors. Within this framework, distinguishing the meaning hidden in the depths from the surface reading of the Lotus Sutra is the true comparison between the essential teaching and the theoretical teaching in the Buddhism of Nichiren Daishonin. Therefore, the above quoted sentences of the, quote, opening of the eyes, unquote, discussing the eternal mutual possession of the 10 worlds, 100 worlds, and 1,000 factors, and Ichinen and Sanzen must also read within the framework of revealing the true meaning hidden in the depths of the Lotus Sutra. In conclusion, when he preached the essential teaching, Shakyamuni refuted the provisional view that he had initially attained enlightenment in his present lifetime at the city of Gaya in India. He revealed that he had in fact attained enlightenment in the remotest past. As a result, all the provisional Buddhas, including the various Buddhas with the various names referred to in the sutras, such as Mahavanchana and Amida, were integrated into the one single original Buddha. Furthermore, because of the doctrine of the eternality of the 10 worlds, the environment was also contained therein. Everything can thus attain Buddhahood. Thus, true Ichinen Sanzen was revealed. Shakyamuni's teachings were finished. The people in Shakyamuni's time awakened to the original Buddha seed they had acquired at the very beginning of the remotest past and attained Buddhahood. In order to establish the mystic law hidden in the depths of the Lotus Sutra in this defiled age of Mappo, it was necessary for the Daishonin, in preparation to distinguish the essential teaching of the Lotus Sutra from the theoretical teaching of the Lotus Sutra. Clarifying this distinction was the purpose of the doctrine of the comparison between the essential Honmon and theoretical Shakumon teachings of the Lotus Sutra. This is the fourth level of the doctrine of the fivefold comparison propounded by the Daishonin.